Hey, what's up, everybody? My name's Alckemy. Welcome to the channel. Today, I wanted to talk about a topic that is, it's kind of the nature of the way that music production works, but is something that I think is a very common misconception, and that is being able to, or the idea of being able to recreate any sound in your head, or being able to get to a point to where like you can identify something and then be like, oh, I know exactly how to do it. For one, there are a lot of courses that will feed that to you that, oh, you can learn how to design any sound. That's not true. Two, there's kind of some perspective on both from a content creator side and also a expectation from a consumer side or from a person trying to learn that I think should be cleared up. With that, from a content creator side, if you're somebody that is just, making these made up things of how to sound like Skrillex because you watched a tutorial on someone else and you're trying to recreate it and you don't do a good job, I would recommend against that. The second thing is that anytime you are watching somebody say, hey, this is how we recreate something, take it with a grain of salt, both in a good way and a bad way. The thing is that there's two sides to this. On one end, if you watch a tutorial and somebody says how to sound like X person and it's absolutely terrible, before you skip the video, try to see if there might be something that is still valuable, even though it's not necessarily the same thing that you want to create. The second thing is that if somebody does do a really good job of recreating that sound, it's either A, not the most complex thing, or B, somebody most likely showed them how to do it. There is a point, like a drop off, like a slope of how well you can like recreate sounds. And what I mean by that is, you can get pretty far by identifying certain characteristics, whether it be waveforms, effect types, different sources that you recognize. The cow goes moo. We know what a cow sounds like. Oh, someone sampled a cow, and you know what I mean? So that exists. It's the same thing as being able to identify chords and stuff. But the thing is that there does reach a point that becomes so complex that you can't really like either A, the way that you come about it might be by mistake, which is what a lot of people tell me anyways, or B, it just can't be replicated. I can't tell you how many people I've talked to that's been like, I was like, hey, how did you make that sound? They were like, I don't know, I was just messing around. It's more so about the approach of the sound design as opposed to how do I make X sound. And like I said, in a perfect world, I would like people to get away from, oh, this sounds nothing like what you're trying to make, or people even asking me, oh, can you make a tutorial that recreates this sound that's, exactly like this person? And my short answer is no. Go to them. For example, Noisia and Cohen Sound have Patreons for how to do their coolest stuff. So why would you come through me when you can go to them? Because it's free usually. And even for me, like I have masterclass stuff too that I don't offer for free, but you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's still the wrong approach. The thing is that when you are doing sound design, if you are so hell-bent on recreating a sound exactly, then you kind of lose sight of what you're going for in the first place. Some people just want to be able to recapture things because they really want to be good at sound design, and I do resonate with that. But the thing is that if you are primarily making music, or even if you're trying to make sample packs or preset packs and stuff, right? Like the individuality has to come in somewhere, because why would you try to make a preset pack that sounds like Noisia when Noisia has a preset pack? You know what I'm saying? Or a sample pack or something else of the sort. It doesn't come off as like authentic, and it also means that like it's like, come on, you don't have any creativity of your own. No hate if that's really what you're trying to do. I just think that there's so much more that you most likely have to offer as an individual. Also, I'll leave it at that. The second thing is that while you are doing sound design, if you are, again, so hell-bent on recreating it, then a lot of times you lose the context that you should be cultivating as well. One of my biggest mistakes was I focused primarily only on sound design for years, as opposed to trying to make sounds and then figure out ways to apply those sounds, no matter how good or bad they were. Now, if you're into like, making sounds for movies or games or other media, there's a different kind of inspiration that you usually get, as opposed to looking at something and being like, how do I recreate what this is supposed to sound like? There's usually a lot of creative direction on being like, hey, I'm looking at something now. What could I create to make this fit the world that this is being built in? And so it kind of diverts the way that you start looking at stuff. Even for lightsabers, which is iconic, you shouldn't necessarily be going to try to recreate a lightsaber sound that is from Star Wars. You might want to take inspiration from that, but ultimately create this world that has different sound effects, different art direction, different kinds of things like that. Unless if you're trying to meme and do like a Willem scream or something, then just go sample it. But you get what I'm saying. Now, in my opinion, I think that taking inspiration from these sounds is really the goal that you want to take. And you can get that from both good tutorials and bad tutorials, as I said at the beginning of the video. When it comes into, these formulas that you start remembering and you start coming into these patterns, the crazy thing is that two people can watch the same video and still get completely different results because you have bias, you have taste, you also have, listening ability, and, just that's how sound design is unless if it's like a saw wave and a filter, or like 2 to 3 or 4 steps or whatever, like it's going to start to become different very soon and very early. And like you should be okay with that, because once you start understanding that you can kind of take, again, inspiration from something and then create your own stuff, well, suddenly it's not what you thought it was, or it's not, exactly what these guys are making, but you've kind of made your own version of that. And that's something to be proud of. How many freaking neurobases have I made that has all been inspired by Cohen Sound or, by Noiser respectively, or all these other artists that I look up to? Those guys have shown me how to do a lot of that stuff. Not Cohen Sound and them, but my teachers. But I don't want to sound like them. I want to understand what it is that they are looking for whenever they are doing the design. And I want to understand how they explore, because it's always been about, how do I find myself as an artist? How do I become a better artist? And how do I look at a tool set or look at an approach in the same way that gets people a similar kind of result, but also something unique, so that way I can make it my own. Does that make sense? I don't know. If somebody is like, yo, I need to have this chi snare or something like that, like I could just go buy a sample pack from Chi and just use whatever snares he has available. It's the exact same thing, right? It's right there, carbon copy. But I want to make my own, but I don't want to make some to where I'm making sounds like him and then trying to one up that person. It's more so of a means of like, oh, I understand how this person makes snares now, so I can work on making my own unique sculptures, sonic sculptures, if you will. I'm not trying to gatekeep, and I'm not trying to tell the community what to do. I just feel like, I feel kind of like, I guess, disappointed, or I'm letting people down because of how many times people ask me, yo, can you make a sound like this person? Can you make a sound like this person? And I'm like, no, I can't. At this point, I can only teach you how to sound like me, because that is where my cultivation has gone. Yes, I've taken lessons from a lot of people. I've studied a lot of people and have paid them a lot of money. But at the end of the day, it's always been about, how do I bring more of my own individuality out? And that's what I have to offer on this channel when it comes into sound design stuff. And that's why you don't see me doing the how to bite anymore. Or if I do, it's, hey, this idea was really cool. So we're going to take this idea and put my own spin on it. And that's what I recommend all of these other content creators that are trying to recreate these sounds do, because it's going to sound a lot more, I don't even want to say ethical. It's just going to be a lot easier for people to actually indulge in your content because they know where you're coming from, as opposed to, you got 10 seconds to get someone's attention. You play that sound and it sounds nothing like what the title says. Well, you've lost them. But if you're like, hey, I, saw this video and I thought it was really cool, and I'm trying to, utilize this in my own sound and create my own version of it and show you the process, that sounds like a much more interesting approach than, yo, what's good, everybody? Welcome to the channel. We're going to be making this sound that sounds like Skrillex and it sounds like, fucking nails on a chalkboard or something. Or if those people like do a really good job of sound designing that thing, they most likely went to that person, and you know what I mean? Like, that person taught them how to do it and now they're sharing it with you, which is nothing wrong with that. But you get what I mean? Like, there's this huge illusion as a whole, sorry to be redundant, of like, yo, there's these people that are out there that literally can recreate anything. And it's like, man, sound doesn't work that way. Part of it is having a mystery, and part of it is, instead of trying to carbon copy other people, unless if you want to buy their samples or whatever, then to be inspired by what it is that they do, and figure out how to make something through your own expression that resonates with you on a much deeper level. At the end of the day, we're just moving clips when it comes to making music anyways, as Frequent says. So the context of it is really what matters, no matter how cool or stupid the sound is, which is a whole different topic. But anyways, kind of just wanted to reflect on that. I hopefully didn't repeat myself too much, but if you have any questions or insight regarding the matter, I would love to know. And leave a like and a comment, and check out alchemy.com, or just binge watch my tutorials if you want to sound like me. Have a good one.